Hey everyone, today I want to do a quick video about a topic that has been bugging me just a little bit, which is stereotypes about millennials. I was born in the early 80s and I directly fall within the millennial demographic. I consider myself to be a grandma millennial, so it's interesting to see increasing numbers of articles or just opinions coming out, sometimes by Gen Xers, sometimes by baby boomers, discussing the stereotypes that I often hear about the millennial generation. And let me know in the comments below how you feel about these stereotypes, that they're lazy, self-absorbed, and obsessed with selfies, way too tech focused. They would rather live at home with their parents than move into adulthood and go out and get a job, buy a home, etc. They don't have a sense of job loyalty. They would rather jump from employer to employer rather than stick it out more than 6 months. And so put that then in context with an article that I just read on Washington Post. And the article is called "Millennials Are More Likely to Live with Their Parents Than Their Parents Were" by Philip Bump. And he discusses in very quick fashion a fairly detailed report from Pew Research entitled "More Millennials Living with Family Despite Improved Job Market." And it documents the extent to which young people, pretty much between 18 and 34, continue to live with their parents despite a better job market, economy, etc. And then he says, quote, "In 1968, most 18 to 34-year-olds were from the silent generation. In 1980, most were boomers. In 1999, most were Gen X. Now most are millennial. And they're more likely to live at home than their parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents." End quote. So then he asks why, and then says, quote, "Perhaps it is because millennials are little babies. We're going to assume it's that until we have evidence to the contrary," end quote. And then editor's note, Philip speaks for himself and only for himself, Philip's note, and his cool generation. So yeah, I was a little irritated when I read that article because it falls directly in line with a lot of the stereotypes that you hear about millennials, and there's such a negative continuation of negativity associated with that generation. Yeah, are there certain things that are true? Yes, millennials love their selfies. Are a lot of them living at home with their parents? Yes. Are they really into tech? Yes. But I think that it's so important whenever anyone makes an assessment, especially of such a large group, or any group for that matter. Context is always key. There are so many debates out there about why millennials are living at home, but let's face it, the economy was crap when they entered the job market. What made sense, especially with the amount of student loan debt that so many people had? Go out and try to get an apartment and have to shell out even more cash when you're trying to make ends meet and pay down student loan debt? Not really. So I've actually heard someone debate me on this topic, and they said, why should anyone take out student loans in the first place? They should work their way through school and not take out student loans. And we had a lovely back and forth on that topic. I believe I won the argument because that doesn't make any sense. I understand the argument, but I only understand it outside of various other factors that come into play, including accelerating tuition costs. Even the cheaper options are still crazy expensive for a lot of people. And the list goes on in terms of additional factors that weigh in when someone considers taking out student loan debt, whether federal or private loans. So I find that a lot of people who are critiquing millennials love avoiding context. And it's so much easier to group everyone into some big category and ignore a lot of the people, for example, who are going out on their own and starting their own companies. Hello, Mark Zuckerberg, isn't he a part of the millennial generation? And so we conveniently leave him out of the conversation because, well, he's the exception to the rule. Well, no, there are other young people who have started very successful businesses, but we always seem to ignore their success in order to look at everybody else and what's wrong with everyone else. Let it go. Millennials are incredibly optimistic. They're very optimistic about their financial future, about their job prospects, about their personal endeavors and professional endeavors and the businesses that they want to create, the impact that they're going to have in the professional world, in the world in general, and the change that they want to see manifested. There is a sense of not entitlement, there is a sense of ownership of that impact where people feel that they can in fact make a change. I find that to be incredibly inspiring. I mean, look at YouTube, for example, the most popular video sharing platform. It's packed with millennials making a difference, with a lot of eyeballs on them across generations and people around the world watching this generation and all that they have to say and all that they contribute, the knowledge that they bring to the table. I think we need to stop with the stereotypes. I think oftentimes people don't understand the generation, so they're like, well, we don't really get your selfies. We don't understand. And someone actually debated me on that too. Like, why do you have to take a selfie? Is it really that important? I'm like, it's okay, like I can write a dissertation on selfies, so, let that go. I find that it's because people don't understand that generation that they jump on the criticism bandwagon as opposed to looking at context, understanding the cultural revolution that happened, especially with social media playing such a big role within that generation and tech playing such a big role in that generation. Professionally, let me say also is that oftentimes you have people who look at millennials and say, well, they're young, they don't really get it, they need more training to get up to speed, etc., with being able to contribute in a valuable way in the job market. And I think that, number one, that's a general criticism of youth overall in the job market. But let's not get it twisted. It's very easy to push someone aside and assume that they don't know anything before they've even had a chance to open their mouth and impress you with their knowledge, with their strategy, their vision, how they see your business moving forward. Oftentimes, in order to stay competitive in the economy, you might actually need to hear from a lot of millennials to hear, okay, well, what's the market going to demand a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Don't ignore that demographic based on stereotypes. Recognize their value, what they bring to the table, compensate them for what they bring to the table, and allow that generation to grow. And every single person, especially employers, play a role in that. Honestly, and this is something that I've witnessed, if you don't hire them, well, guess what? They could very well be your next competitor because there are a lot of them starting their own businesses. So just take that into consideration as well. And also keep in mind that you can't keep calling certain people the exception. Well, so-and-so created a multi-billion-dollar company and they're a millennial. They're the exception. You'd be surprised how many millennials who are making quite a lot of money from their living room based on their mastery of making money online, monetizing their presence online. I will make more videos on this topic because I find it to be pretty interesting, especially with the number of articles coming out and data on millennials. So I have more to say. If you do have a certain topic in mind about millennials that you'd like me to address, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. All right, that's it. See you soon. Bye.